Welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. If you are a sports bettor, this is the most important hour of your day because the #1 sports consultant in America has brought his national radio show and podcast here to YouTube. So while you're here, go ahead and like and subscribe or download the podcast and listen on your schedule. And now, here is our host, the #1 sports consultant in America, ready to make you money this week and every week, the Fat Jack.
Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. Championship weekend is here. You can hear it in my voice. We could spend an hour talking about how hot we are right now. We're not going to do that. That's not good for anybody. So we're going to break down some of these games, get you ready to make money this weekend, get people signed up that want to do that, some free winners as well, maybe a story or two, no telling. But lots going on right now. Let's bring in my co-host from Louisville, Kentucky, as we have reached not the pinnacle yet, but we can see it from here of the NFL season as championship weekend is here. Basketball's underway, UFC going again. Brandon, how are you, buddy?
It's the penultimate pinnacle. It's the final, championship weekend before a little bit of a lull for the Pro Bowl, and then we fire up for Vegas Super Bowl weekend. It's a fantastic time to be signed up with the service, and yet again, how about a monster Saturday last week and another winning weekend in the NFL?
Yeah, I dialed in. We talked about it last week, but everything is winning. We swept the board on Saturday in football. Sunday, we won the first one, lost with Dallas in the second one. We'll talk about more about the Cowboys in a minute because Brandon, I'll just tell you, it's just hard to bet on a team with a quarterback that's not consistent. I want to get into it right now, but that was the one loss we've had literally, and it always stings more because of how great things are going. We hadn't lost in 2 weeks. I mean, in football, we swept the board. The week before, we were 5-0. The week before that, we were 7-1.
Yep.
So you're getting the picture here. I mean, we're going back a month before we even had multiple losers over the course of a 3, 4, 5-day period. I mean, football has just been absolutely dialed in. I mean, they're not even close. I mean, in games like Kansas City and Jacksonville, where you had Jacksonville, you're lucky. You had Kansas City, you're unlucky. We had under, which was easy. I mean, so I'm staying away from the games right now that are even tough, unless the quarterback goes and does what I cautioned everybody he might do, and then he goes and does it. Any quarterback at this point in the season goes on the road, throws 2 interceptions, they're going to lose, period. And that team is – I would be really irritated for about a month if I was on that team other than Dak Prescott because they played more than well enough to win. Those 2 turnovers resulted in took points off the board for Dallas and resulted in 6 points for San Francisco. And they lose by 7 and don't cover the number by 4. So, or by 3. So, there you go. Basically those 2. And it's not like he did anything impressive. Sometimes Prescott is Prescott. He does great things. He didn't do anything great. He played just okay. And this segment that I was going to wait to get into, I apparently can't. I'm just vomiting. Dak
All
Prescott
the points that you were gonna fire out, yeah.
Stupid behavior to start the show. When the reality is the start of the show should be about how great things are going. I just brushed over that, but just an incredible start to the year. Really, really strong. I said this 2 weeks ago. I'll say it last week. I'll say it again this week. These runs will last a long time. And if you're a guy that signs up for a weekend or 3 or 4, 5-day period or even a 2-week period and you didn't do well and you're listening to this show and you haven't won money betting on sports, you need to look in the mirror and say, I'm not winning because I'm not signed up. That's the only reason you're not winning.
Yep.
Because it's impossible not to win money right now with us. And it's not just today, not just yesterday, not just the week, not just 2 weeks, but for literally over a month. It's impossible not to win. You can't screw it up unless you decide to anti. You're the biggest idiot in the world, and for some reason decided anti. So if you do that, you need to quit gambling entirely.
Yeah,
if you decide for some reason,
it's not a good look. Whatever, if you decide to start fading your picks now.
After 27 years, fading my picks. If we know one thing, Brandon, that will get you in a lot of trouble.
And quickly.
And during runs like this, it'll get you broke. Is what it'll get you. So.
Yeah.
Let me give the website out, and then we're going to get into the show. We'll talk more about last week, get people signed up.
I love that you no longer give out the phone number.
Not even close. Why in the world would I want to talk to somebody?
It's 2023. Let's embrace the digital age, people. Just go to the website. Don't even think about calling.
It took me forever to get to a point where I could buy a ticket to something on my phone. I went to the boat show a couple days ago, and you could not walk up and purchase a ticket. You had to go scan a QR code, fill out some information, put your credit card number. That's how you get in the boat show. Even I, who have as resistant as anybody alive since my dad passed away, who was a bigger moron than I was in this stuff, even I can walk through our website. I have made the website so idiot proof. And by the way, I have learned this: when you say idiot proof to somebody that calls with questions about the website or calls with questions about the service, you in a roundabout way are basically calling them an idiot.
An idiot. Yeah, it's saying it without saying it. It's the implied stupidity.
It's so difficult for me when somebody calls up and says, "Now, Jack, just so I'm clear, 2.5 points was the line. What does that mean exactly? What if your number's 2 and I still play it for the same amount?" When I get that, Brandon, it is impossible for me to not. My next words out of my mouth are, "We have made the sign up and the recommended betting guide idiot proof. Just read it, don't overthink it, and follow it, and you're going to make money," because that's the truth. So no, I'm not giving the numbers out. That would encourage people to call. I want you to call only if you want to sign up for the elite package. Call, because that does require more information. I can text it or email it, and I do that all the time. But if you want those lower rated plays, you want to know exactly. Everybody calls on that. They want to know exactly, are the top plays, do I get better plays for signing up for the elite package? The answer is absolutely no. Everybody gets exactly the same top plays are posted and documented. That's the top plays. Those lower rated plays that are absolutely burying books and sports books around the world, they're making a lot of money. Also, those are what you're paying for, and also information on games you might want to play, but it costs more money for that package. It's more personal. And because of that, if you want to call and ask questions about that, be my guest. I'll be more than happy. Other than that, just go, at least first go to the website, walk through the steps, click on the packages, click on the one you want, fill out the information, press enter, and lo and behold, you're going to get the picks literally immediately in your inbox. And then you're going to get a recommended betting guide. Read that. So go to fatjacksports.com. Get signed up. You want the football through the weekend? $99. You want the football through next weekend? $2.99. No, sorry, $1.99. $1.99 for football next week. It's actually it's $2.29. And you're like, well, Jack, there's only one game next week. No, there's not just one game. It's not next week. It's 2 weeks. But there's not just one game. It's side, it's total, it's predicted final score. It's the top 10 prop bets that have made money every year over the last decade. It's a ton of information that you're only going to get this weekend coming up, the Super Bowl weekend in a couple of weeks. So $99 this weekend for football, $2.29 football through the Super Bowl. Add basketball to that. It's very inexpensive to add hoops. 4-1 last weekend again in hoops. On the weekend, our weekends have won for a month now.
Mm-hmm.
The weekdays have been hit and miss. We'll go 2-0. We'll go 1-2. We'll go 1-2. We'll go 2-1. But the weekends, rock solid on Saturdays, rock solid on Sundays, profitable weekends. So add those this weekend, depending on when you're signing up, somewhere between $30 for the weekend to $60 for the weekend. So great time to get signed up. Great time to win. Let's talk about the games as if I haven't already beat up Dak Prescott enough, Brandon. What were your thoughts for last weekend? What'd you take away? I mean, these games coming up this weekend, which we're going to talk more about after the break, are fire. I mean, they're going to be really good. But looking back, what do you think? What did you see?
I was very impressed to see the way Cincinnati went into Buffalo and dominate that game in the fashion that they did. Buffalo has been able to hold their own against anybody in any field, on a Monday night, Sunday afternoon, didn't matter. They got absolutely manhandled on their home field. And I don't know if they were just running off emotions for the last 2 weeks. They had that big the kick returns against Miami that really kind of spurred them on to win in the opening round of the playoffs. But they just ran into an absolute buzzsaw. And Joe Burrow right now appears to be on the threshold, if not already past it. He appears to be sort of the guy between him and Mahomes going forward. I don't know if Buffalo kind of played themselves out of that conversation for the next few years.
You are a Norman High Tiger.
Yes. Class of 98.
I am a Norman High Tiger.
Class of 88?
88.
Okay.
A year. You do know who else is a Norman High Tiger?
That would be Bengals head coach Zach Taylor.
Zach Taylor. While I was not learning French in Monsieur Williams' class, apparently Zach Taylor was taking a class, and he's much younger than me, so I don't know who taught him this. But he was learning how to, sometime in the early part of December, give or take a couple of weeks, flip a switch, build momentum. He's like a closer in a horse race. This dude somehow, some way, learned something that other coaches and other teams don't have. I can't explain it. I can tell you this, Brent. How many times are we going to be hit in the face with the same information before we actually start believing it? Because they are the best against the spread. They're 21-4-1 going back to the start of last year, the middle of last year. It's something just obscene like that against the number.
That's a stupid high number. I mean, you can't do that. That's video game number stuff.
So, I mean, first of all, why are we not betting on them a little bit more? I mean, I hate to be greedy because we're just having such a great year and a great run, but I haven't played the Bengals but maybe once or twice in the last month and a half, maybe once. I mean, maybe not even that. I've never been a big believer of what they're doing, but clearly I'm wrong about what Cincinnati and Zach Taylor are doing, because they just keep getting it done. And they have that. You want to talk about the underdog role. Lots of teams take that underdog mantra and say us against the world.
Mm-hmm.
And they are it. They are literally it. Cincinnati is a perfect city for that too. I mean, it's everything works together with the Bengals. They are an underappreciated, grumpy part of the country, by the way, that just got sports gambling.
Very, yes. And I know some people up there that are getting their teeth kicked in right now because they refuse to sign up, but that's a different story.
What is wrong with people? What is wrong with people, Brandon? I don't understand.
But going back to your point, it's sort of a Ohio versus the world mentality. And they're like, you know what, damn it, we can do it ourselves. And
just keep on playing the Bills and keep on playing. I mean, just playing the teams that they're going to win and not cover. Keep on playing Kansas City. I mean, how many people had Kansas City last week and lost money? It's just ridiculous amount of people throwing their money. Anyway, Ohio the whole state is that way. They're grumpy. It's us against the world. It's like everybody that was kicked out of Chicago went over to Ohio. And they're literally, they don't have Portillo's, they don't have anything. They don't have a cool.
Yeah, Skyline doesn't touch Giordano's or any kind of Portillo's for sure.
Really doesn't. The minute you start putting chili on spaghetti, I mean, there you go. It tells you all you need to know.
Yeah.
Tells you all you need to know about where they are in the world. I mean, that's a decision that's made on a cold winter's night and say, you know what, we're not only going to eat chili on spaghetti, we're going to build a reputation around it. Come on. That's who's in Ohio. Cincinnati is perfect for that. We don't care that even nobody believes, we believe. And Zach Taylor is perfect for that team. So I'm not sure how long it's going to take us to realize. Maybe it's this week. We're going to find out. They go play the Chiefs, which, oh, by the way, they've just owned for the last 3 times they played. And
Joe
coming
Burrow,
out of
3-0 against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
And it hasn't been in September.
Right.
I mean, these have been meaningful games that have literally ended the Chiefs' season. So I would be curious if you give a truth serum. I'm going to take a Jim Traber line. If you talk to if you talk to the Kansas City players as they're watching that game, I know they'll say they didn't care. Bring on whoever, next man up, come to our place. We're going to whatever. Because it was even more interesting this last year, because if Cincinnati wins, they get a home game. If Buffalo wins, they got to go to Atlanta. But Cincinnati, I don't know that they have the formula to beat them. And now Patrick Mahomes has a high ankle sprain. So I would love to know what the majority of the players were actually pulling for. If they had to pick, gun to the head type deal, you've got to pick one, who they were actually pulling to play. You have any idea? Any insight on that?
I would think that in that building, they would have rather been playing Cincinnati just because they would be at home. They wouldn't have the unfamiliarity of playing in a dome, even though it's a fast track there in Atlanta. Playing at home in Kansas City would at least be that much more of an advantage in helping Patrick Mahomes get healthy and be ready for this game. I'm very curious though to see what this matchup brings, because I mean, these are two teams that are playing at a pretty good level right now. But I would think Kansas City would have rather played Buffalo, but albeit
at home.
Them at home, yeah. But I think the at home part is more important to them.
Well, and that's the thing. The only problem with your theory, and all that makes perfectly good sense, until you have to look across the deal and see a team that has owned you for 3 straight games, including on your own field. It's not like they beat them in Cincinnati. This team came into Arrowhead
and won
just like
year. Yep.
Yeah, just like they just went to Buffalo and said, we don't care. You can't move it on us. We are more physical than you. They're now running the ball effectively. And I don't know if this Chiefs defense is the answer. Let me put it this way. If Cincinnati shows up at Kansas City and plays exactly how they did against Buffalo, they're beating Kansas City.
Double digits.
If they're able to run the ball effectively, and the Chiefs front front three, they run the 3-4. They're not as good as what Buffalo was on paper.
And with a banged up offensive line that played their asses off last week, I'm with you. I don't think that the Kansas City defense, especially up front, is as good as what Buffalo had, and they manhandled that front.
Cincinnati 5-0 against the spread their last 5 games on the road. They go on the road and win and cover. Cincinnati 5-0 last 5 games on the road. They win straight up. They cover and win straight up. So this game, there's not enough movement. There's not enough room there to almost do both. You're either going to win or not. And the line tells you both these games, if you're out there and you like these home favorites, which general public typically does. And by the way, I've not said I like Cincinnati. I've not said I like San Francisco. I haven't said. And I will tell you, I'm not going to say, because we're going to have a huge weekend. And I'm going to release sides. I'm going to release totals. There's going to be more prop bets. There's going to be player props. There's maybe a teaser. A lot going out this weekend for $99. So I'll let Brandon fire one out there here in just a second. But I'm not going to tell you who I like, because if you want to win this weekend, can't afford $99, don't gamble this weekend. Go bowl. It's bowling. Bowling is a sport of a lifetime, Brandon. Go bowl.
And in Buffalo, that's all they got to do this week is go bowling.
Go bowl. That's right.
Go
out and watch. My wife asked me, does Niagara Falls freeze in the winter this time of year? Is it frozen or just partly frozen? Any idea?
I would, if it gets cold enough, sure. It has frozen before, I believe.
I think it probably has before too. I'd just be curious if, like, right now you can't even go out and watch a cold waterfall. I mean, because you got to go indoors, go bowl. I've been in Niagara Falls. I went in August once, and it's actually was quite pleasant. But I would not want to be there this time of year, especially when the Bills Mafia have nothing to play for. You know, it's going to get a great rating this week is like Chucko, cornhole on TV, because they're not going to watch the games. You're a Bills fan. I don't know that you can watch any more football because
I've never heard it referred to as Chucko.
That's the only thing. Cornhole to me sounds just tacky.
Sure.
And I learned it as Chucko back in the day. I don't know when that was, and it just sounds. It's like saying restroom versus toilet.
Or bathroom.
When I say restroom versus
like
toilet,
a normal person would say bathroom, even though, obviously you wouldn't take a bath there, but.
Yeah, bathroom works, but there's certain what Chucko just sounds more classy. And, I'm all about class, Brandon.
if we've learned anything in 20
If we've learned anything, I'm all about class. All right, so who do you like? Kansas City, Cincinnati. Like I said, Cincinnati owns all the numbers on the road. Kansas City, of course, is great at home. 5-0 straight up their last 5 at home. 5-0 straight up their last 5. Both these teams, everybody's streaking at this point. So right now, Kansas City, a small favorite in the game. So what are your thoughts?
The Patrick Mahomes health for me is the biggest indicator as to whether or not Kansas City has a chance to win this game. Andy Reid can overcome a lot of issues. He can overcome. I think he pivoted well when they put Chad Henne in the game. They called a little bit of a different game when Henne was in for that series. When Mahomes was on the sideline, he can maybe overcome and pivot the game plan a little bit in a better direction to suit his talent. That said, you're giving me the better defense and points. I think this is a moderately high scoring game, and I would not be surprised to see Cincinnati win on the road yet again, just because they've, like you said, they've owned this series. They did the exact same thing last year. I see no reason how that defense is going to not be able to get pressure on Mahomes.
Total 47.5. Any ideas on the total?
I mean, I kind of pinned this like a 31-28 game, so I would have to go over, but not by a ton.
Yeah, the one thing the general public should definitely know this time of year, keep in mind, is that the numbers are typically pretty tight, built in this time of year. And so barring, and again, it's all about turnover. So if Burrows goes on the road and he turns the ball over 2 or 3 times, strip sack, anything, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, you get 2 or 3 turnovers and you're -2 in the turnovers, Bengals are not going to win. Chiefs, if they do the same thing, or certainly Patrick Mahomes doesn't play, they're not going to win. So I always say that this year, every time this year, because most guys who are not signed up are not like us. They have not gone 8-1, 16-2, 21-3 over the last 3.5, 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just 17, 18, 19, $100 players up over $2,000. I mean, that type of deal. That hasn't happened. So what they're doing are they're trying to get even. So they're betting more. There's fewer games. They're going to find an angle, find a side, like something. They're going to bet more than they should. I tell you that because these games, and frankly, the Super Bowl also, which we've been very good at. I don't know. I've lost one Super Bowl in the last decade. I have lost one, but one in the last decade, maybe two, maybe pushed once or twice. Anyway, those games are tight, and they're primarily going to be decided by turnovers. So be careful in these games. But if turnovers are even, the numbers should be pretty close on these games. I have some other angles, though, that we're going to give when you get signed up at FatJackSports.com for only $99. You will win this weekend. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. I had a little bit of a traumatic experience happen this last week in Vegas.
No.
A very interesting deal. I want to talk about that for a second. Almost cost me about $30,000. Could have cost me. I say didn't almost. Could have cost me about $30,000. So we're going to talk about that.
I have trauma just from hearing it.
You know what? There were about 4 minutes in there.
Oh no!
When I was like, this is what rock bottom looks like.
Oh no!
This is how it feels to go 21-3 over the last 3 weeks and still be super, super upset. We'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the other game going on and get you signed up to make some money. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
Hey, it's Brandon Rush from the Fat Jack Sports Service. If you want to stay in touch with everything related to the Fat Jack, follow us on all the socials. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, you name it. We are there at Fat Jack Sports. You can also watch the Fat Jack Sports Hour on YouTube every weekend. Plus, see funny clips from the show, see Jack's appearances on the nationally syndicated TV show Beat the Odds, and get primed for more profit every week with Bets and Breakfast, Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. only on YouTube. Stay connected to the Fat Jack at Fat Jack Sports on all the socials and on YouTube.
Hey, this is the Fat Jack. What a great weekend it was. Another great, profitable week for myself and my clients. 4-1 in basketball, but that was just the beginning. We're now 8-1 the last 2 weekends in football, 16-2 the last 3 weekends, and 21-3 the last 3 weekends in football alone. Everybody's making money. Go to FatJackSports.com, and for as little as $99, get winning plays texted to your cell phone or emailed to you, and make money betting the games this weekend at FatJackSports.com.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host, a man who owns championship weekends. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2, heading into a huge weekend. Weather, of course, getting worse around the country in a lot of places, but we are heating up. Gosh, January always makes me sad because we make so much money this time of year, just almost every single year, and then the Super Bowl comes and I go, oh, I got to wait a little bit.
We got the XFL starting in a few weeks. So, maybe we get a little weird.
Maybe, but the rhythm of the service has been really, really good for almost 3 decades. Mm-hmm. So I'm all for you or somebody else being able to find some angles to make some money for our clients in another form of football. But it hasn't been, it's a little bit, I always compare it to the MAC. The worse the quality of football gets, the harder it is to make money, typically. So, and I feel like my rhythm, I focus almost every year. I start focusing, actually starting Monday. 85% of my focus will be on basketball. And it's already kind of started, and the results have bore that out. I mean, we're absolutely turning the page, making money on every weekend over the last month in basketball. And that only picks up going forward. It's not a coincidence, I don't think, that after we get into February, basketball almost always runs off a 21-2 run, or
the week before and the week after Super Bowl. Basketball usually is unbelievable,
really, really hot, and it makes people stand up going, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not a basketball player, but I do like money, and I know this dude wins, and I know that he tells the truth because it's all posted there. And so I'll have guys sign up for basketball and take a shot, and they're almost always rewarded by a really, really hot run. And that's why I make the service fee so little, that if you sign up now for the next couple of months, you're basically paying the same amount for basketball as if you'd signed up November 1st.
Yep.
because it costs so much less to sign up at the start of the year. Sign up now for the new year. All those preseason packages are out. You sign up for those, you're paying literally, these picks coming up will cost you nothing, because it's going to cost you more to sign up for basketball in September, October, November than it does right now if you're going through next year's Super Bowl. So go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up there. But yeah, it's always so. Although I'm open to the idea of making more money in football after the Super Bowl, basketball typically becomes very, very profitable, and most of my attention is spent there, at least for the short term. So, yeah, I had something kind of traumatic happen, which was very interesting. So I'm at I have money with accounts that I bet, the different sports books. I spread out. One of the things I do is I spread out my bets.
Yes.
I don't bet a ton with one house or one, because when you're running off 21-3, Brandon, you don't want to be hitting them for even 20, 30, 40, 50,000. I mean, there's going to be some sirens going off. They do care about that stuff.
Absolutely. And if you play too much with one place, they can maybe start limiting your play.
They will
say, hey, you can only bet 5,000 on basketball, 10,000 on football. We're not going to take anymore.
They will. And I will tell you, it doesn't happen very much. You'll see people on Twitter that say those things and complain about that. Most of that's BS.
Sure.
It really, especially with all the dead money coming into the market. I know some very, very high players, higher than what I play, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. And they're not pigeons. They're not Mattress Mac, who's just giving money away or making money based on where he lives in the country. It's not that. These guys are good, and they make a lot of money, and they don't even really get limited by one house, and they bet a lot more with one house than I do, with all of them combined. And it's because there's so much volume right now in the world of sports betting that they're okay. The houses are fine with that because they're looking for balance. 99% of the time, they're looking for balance. So if the sharp players are all on the 49ers this week, let's say, but the general public's going to love the Eagles, they need sharp players to come in at 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 to be able to keep totals. Yeah, to balance the numbers where because they don't know that the people setting the lines don't know who's going to win these games every time. Most of the time they don't. They're just trying to set numbers to get money on each side of the game. So they're okay with sharp players. So most guys do not. You don't get limited typically, and you certainly don't get cut off. I have always just made a habit, spread it around. Don't become a big flashing neon sign of I can beat you betting on sports. That's just kind of been my theory. Here's where the story goes. So part of that is I still will go to the window at times and bet tickets. So I have tickets and I've been betting them at the MGM because I have a condo there for this TV show. I have a condo in the Signature that I stay at every weekend or every week, that I'm out there. So I'll walk over and go get a pizza. There's a pizza place. I'll get a piece of pizza and I'll bet, $3,000 to $5,000 on something. So anyway, we're winning right now. So these tickets have rolled up and they've been rolling over. They've been winning, and they're just a small portion of my bets. But I had about $15,000 in tickets that I placed before I went to London with Katie, right? So I go over to Katie, get her set up in London, and then I come back. So I put the tickets in my briefcase. Are you following me?
Yes.
Put the tickets in my briefcase. Also, I threw in my briefcase. Billie Eilish has these, what do they call it? This smell good. It's not incense, but things you rub on your body and stuff that smell good. Oils.
I have no clue, but I'm following. Sure.
So there's some type of oils, and they help with twitches and Tourette's. Billie Eilish has Tourette's syndrome. She rubs this stuff on her body in the morning, at night. It helps with her tics and those type things.
Oh no.
So I have some of this oil, and I took the oil and was smelling it or whatever, and then I put it in my briefcase in the front pouch.
Okay.
The lid was off of the thing, of the deal. So I didn't see it. It wasn't really wet. It just was off. Well, that oil interacted with the ink on the tickets. So over a 2-week period of flying to London, flying back, I go back to the MGM. I'm going to cash in, what's going to be about $30K, and then bet some more stuff for the weekend. And I take the tickets out, and Brandon, it was like a magic trick. You could not see one word on those tickets. The ink was gone.
Oh no.
I totally gone. So I'm looking at blank tickets, and I'm like, oh my, what is going on? I thought this is a joke.
Right.
I thought I was being punked. I thought surely, because I always I don't bet with tickets that much anymore. I always look at the tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So I know what I put them in there, but I didn't realize I had put the oil in there. So I'm just thinking somehow, some way, this oil has vanished from the ticket. You can't read it. There's nothing on there.
A $15,000 magic marker.
Exactly.
With
That's going to be 30 when I cash it. So I, of course, immediately panic a little bit, get a little cold sweat, like, oh my, how do I even explain this?
Right.
So
because they're going to believe that, hey, there's these tickets and they're all winners, I promise.
Yeah, and they're going to say, oh, well, okay, Jack, who'd you have? That's not how that works. And all the ink was gone. You couldn't even, it wouldn't have mattered. Fortunately, they don't allow you to bet unless you turn my type of numbers, unless you turn your player's card in. So
they can go back and kind of track when you were there, the bets that you were actually.
They absolutely can, and absolutely were able to, and see the tickets that I have on my account, only because I bet as high as I do.
Yeah.
You walk up and you bet $50 or $100. I just would have been SOL. I mean, I don't know if they could have done anything. I would have been like trying to find Mr. Science to figure out how to bring back ink that had gone off my tickets. But because I bet as high as I do, you can't bet anywhere in town, even $2,000-$3,000 a game. You can't do that without turning a player's card.
Sure.
So I had, but for a split moment, I thought, I am in trouble. I'm just going to lose this money. I might as well just throw it up in the air on the strip because it's gone. But then I realized, okay, wait a minute. I have to turn my player's card in whenever I bet anywhere. Right. I definitely gave my player's card. They should be able to. Well, sure enough, they were great about it, honestly. And I have a lot of terrible things to say about the MGM on a normal basis, and certainly about their app. I mean, this is the app that literally shut down during the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Yep.
I mean, just ridiculous. But, and by the way, you can't get on the internet in their casinos and go on their app. That's a totally different thing. Their app designers need to be fired like 5 years ago. But the one thing they do is they, like everybody else, make you put up your card when you bet. So they were able to go back, search it out, and give me my money. So it ended up being fine. But
I mean, you dodged a heck of a bullet there, because you're right. A lower level player would have just been SOL. And that's one thing that I'm kind of thankful for having the apps for is, I'm not going to lose tickets. I'm not going to, it's all there in the app. Of course, that has its downsides as well, because then it's like, oh, well, if you are betting, X amount and, hey, you won, it might not get reported tax wise or any of that goofy stuff. But yeah, it's
cool. Not real money. All right. I mean, It's on the app. So you bet a lot. This is the problem with the apps, is that people don't look at it as real money. So they bet more than they should. They bet on different things than they should. It's really difficult, but you're right. Overall, there's a lot of positive to it. One of which is that the ink's not going to vanish off your tickets when you're that was definitely one thing. The 49ers Eagles. Let's talk about that. I had something else to say about the tickets, but about the gambling. So it doesn't matter. Anyway, 49ers Eagles. First of all, go to fatjacksports.com right now. Get signed up. If you like these problems, you want to have some more of these problems like I have, not at this level probably to start for sure. I used to be a $100 player. I was like everybody else. But they don't pay you with trophies when you win. They pay you with cash. So 8-1 the last 2 weeks. Won again last week, 16-2 over the last 3 weeks, 21-3 in football. Basketball's winning. Go get signed up. Preseason rates are there. Stop losing. Stop paying your man. 49ers Eagles, Brandon. Philadelphia, who we gave out preseason, along with Arizona Cardinals, to win the Super Bowl. Nobody looks better right now than they do as we're sitting here before this weekend. Now, as we know, that has very little to do a lot of times with who's going to win a game from week to week. But for those of you that are clients of mine and signed up and got Philadelphia and played them at 23-1 before the season, which, by the way, we should mention, I hit the Rams last year.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be 2 in a row. But if you bet Philadelphia, got to feel at least a little bit good going into this weekend. I will tell you the one thing that would give me a little pause is the number. San Francisco still with the Brock Purdy at quarterback. Getting turnovers, and of course they are really good top to bottom. Going to go on the road to Philadelphia, who just manhandled the Giants, which is certainly not as good as San Francisco. But anyway, the number's only 2.5, so they are almost inviting you to play Philadelphia here. What are your thoughts on this one?
I mean, Philly's healthy. They got Jalen back. They got Lane Johnson back. That offensive line's been playing very well and at a pretty high level. Defensively, they have some guys who are just lunch pail dudes who just go punch in the mouth and then go home for the day. That's a tough squad, and their coach is just crazy enough to, you can't trust him if he's on the other sideline. You don't know if he's going to punt on fourth down. You don't know if he's going to fake a field goal. Whereas the flip side of that coaching coin, Kyle Shanahan, we've seen him dumb down the offense last week in that game against Dallas to limit Brock Purdy from making critical mistakes, which was good because they won. But I still don't believe that he's learned from the 28-3 debacle in Atlanta. And even though he has more weapons now than he's ever had at his disposal, everybody's playing pretty darn well. Philly, to me, probably feels like the right side just because they are healthy. They have been playing well at a very high level all dang year, and they got a coach that's a little bit mentally unstable. And for me, that might be enough to win this weekend.
Yeah, it's funny how coaches that are still playing are great personality fits for the cities they represent. I mean, even Shanahan, laid back, Northern California, all of that, and the guy in Philly's literally crazy.
Nick Sirianni acts like he coaches with a broken beer bottle in his pocket, and he's ready to use it at any given point. Andy Reid, good dude, loves barbecue.
Exactly. Even Dallas. I mean, you look at some of these cities that have these coaches that they just fit in perfect. I mean, if you go to Kansas City, there's that dude that looks just like Andy Reid that's at all the games.
Yes.
There are 100 of those. I literally, you walk around Kansas City, you want to talk about guys with sandy blonde graying hair with a mustache that's too fluffy and a big belly that looks like they're pregnant. That is about 15% of everybody that lives in Kansas City.
We love our great listeners of WHB in Kansas City.
We do. I love them. Listen, everybody's got something. I've got 20 things. It's like coming to South Florida, and you come to the west coast of South Florida, and a third of the guys here have gray hair, a mustache, and look like they went and stormed the Capitol when Donald Trump told them to go up to the Washington. I mean, it's literally like a third of the people here, they're there. I mean, it's like normal guy by day hanging out at Buffalo Wild Wings, but by gosh, if the leader calls, we're taking it north. So
stereotypes wouldn't be funny if they weren't so true.
I'm telling you, man, it's this whole coast. And what's funny is my uncle that lives here is one of that. He looks just like that.
Definitely central casting.
Try losing him at a basketball game. I walk up to 10 guys, tap them on the shoulder, say, "Hey, no, you're not Phil. You're just Phil's twin. It's a clone. There's a third of the people down here. It's ridiculous." So, yeah, I definitely think it's interesting how the personalities of the teams marry what their cities are.
Right.
San Francisco has got to be considered dangerous at this point. This team clearly, and for everything we just said about Shanahan, you're absolutely correct. If they get in the wrong spot, I'm not sure that he's best to deal with it. But game plan going in with a deficiency at the quarterback position, and deficiency, I'm not talking talent. I'm just saying rookie, Mr. Irrelevant, never been in a bad situation, never been behind. He's done a great job of letting the rest of that team rally and circle around his quarterback and keeping them out of spots. Now, yeah, it translated into not a lot of points this last week. But were they ever behind? I guess they were 6-3, right?
Yes.
Or no?
Yeah, no. They Dallas kicked had the touchdown to go up 6-3, and the extra point was blocked. Yes, they were down 6-3, kicked a pair of field goals to be up 9-6 at halftime.
But they've really done a good job, and even at that point, you're not going to panic 6-3.
No.
So, and they'd already gotten one interception off Prescott. So I mean, he had not shown that he was willing to not give them a couple extra possessions during the course of the game. So. I think he did exactly what he had to do. Now, yeah, it made their offense look a little worse than it probably is. Another side to that coin is Philadelphia is getting a huge step up in class from what they saw last week with the Giants. I love Philadelphia. Release Philadelphia. Should have bet the house on Philadelphia. The Giants were, like Minnesota was before, a fraud for this time of year.
Yep.
A good team, a nice story, a place to make money during October and September, but nothing. They were not going to be on the same level with what this Eagles team was going to be in the playoffs. So I'm not taking what I saw last week with Philadelphia and saying, oh my gosh, well, that's who Philly is, and they're going to beat everybody. Like, that's not the case. This is a much better opponent for them than were the Giants. So San Francisco 9-1 against the spread their last 10 games.
Goodness.
So we talk about teams that are just getting it done, and maybe not getting quite the credit for one reason or another. Heck, maybe it's just this show. I go on a lot of shows and they love, Jim Traber, we talked about him. This is now two times in the hour, but he loves San Francisco. He thinks they're going to win it all. There's a number of teams, other people that I know, including some smart people, that thought whoever wins that San Francisco-Dallas game is going to win the Super Bowl.
I mean, you asked me on this show 2 weeks ago before the playoffs started who I like to win it all, and I said if I had to bet money on one team, it would have been San Francisco, just because of all the pieces that they have.
So in here they come.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Dallas at home. Obviously, different game here. You got to go across country with a bunch of lunatics. And people that are frankly off-putting. I don't like anything about Philadelphia. Not anything.
The only good things to come out of Philadelphia are the show It's Always Sunny About Philadelphia. Cheesesteaks. More the beef than the chicken. And Pink, who I absolutely adore.
Yeah.
Everything
Rocky.
else about Philadelphia, please. Terrible movie.
Rocky.
Terrible movie.
Well, not realistic, but yeah, it was something back in the 70s. The only place, Brandon, I have gone to stadiums all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, basically every city. I've been to major sporting events. The only place that I've ever been cheated, like literally sold a fraudulent ticket,
was Philadelphia.
Oh,
wow.
And I hated them before that. It wasn't like I went in and said, "Oh, City of Brotherly Love, sign me up for this. Hey, we're going to the Sweet 16 or whatever it was. It was basketball, definitely. Sweet 16, I think. Sign me up for that. Love Rocky, love a cheesesteak. Let's go." No, I hated them before I went.
Just fuel to the fire.
And then I literally, and I've got a 9 or 10-year-old. However, I think Jack was older than that.
Yeah, I remember that.
But he's standing there looking, and he remembers the guy's name was Boogie. And he will tell you to this day, Boogie cheated us at Philadelphia. First of all, why am I buying tickets from a dude named Boogie?
That should have been the first lesson. Yeah,
that's lesson number one. This was back before everything's digital. Now you can't even buy tickets. This was back before that. But Boogie cheated us. Only place I've ever been cheated in my life. And their fans are super off-putting. There is a big part of me, Brandon, that is pulling against them simply because you don't think they're going to travel to Vegas. It's going to be, we thought the Giants fans were something. These Philly fans are going to be everywhere, and they're going to be matched up against either Cincinnati that are relatively normal. I mean, there's lunatics everywhere, but relatively, or Kansas City that's been there, done that, and they do travel real well. But it'd be hard for me not to pull for Kansas City if Philly's there, even though I'm going to make about $50,000 if Philly wins it all.
Right.
I mean, I just don't know what to. But I got good angel, bad angel on every shoulder right now. So FatJackSports.com, get signed up, start winning today. $99 for this weekend, $229, all the football through the Super Bowl, including the top prop bets, the predicted final score of the Super Bowl, everything, player props, everything that you need. It's going to be there for the game, and of course, all that stuff also for this weekend's games. $99 or $229 gets you everything. Add basketball, very, very inexpensive. Go get signed up today and start making money.
If you're looking for more action this week, Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. With multi-sport prop entries, you can mix and match your action every day from almost anywhere in the country. Sign up with promo code FATJACK and get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's $100 when you sign up with promo code FATJACK. Go to prizepicks.com or download the app and sign up with promo code FATJACK to get in on the action today. Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. And for the final time this championship weekend, here is our host, the man setting the table for your weekend winners. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you, Brandon, so much. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 3, getting ready to get out of here. Another winning week is upon us. Guys, get signed up. $99, everything through Sunday's games. $229 football all the way through the Super Bowl, including the top prop bets, predicted final score, best bets for the game, all that stuff included. It will get you into profit before Valentine's Day, which is going to be coming up right after the Super Bowl. So get into profit before Valentine's Day. Don't wait till after. So great time to get signed up at fatjacksports.com. So Super Bowl coming up in a couple of weeks, Brandon.
Yes.
We always go, and there's a big group that go out there, and I'm going to have the TV show, and I got a bunch of radio stuff, but we always go to dinner at least one and sometimes two of the nights. So I've got reservations at Carbone, which is a world-class, if you're out there at your house, Google it. It's worth a Google. They are at the Aria. They are a world-class Italian food place that's in New York City. Very difficult to get a reservation, like 2 or 3 months out typically if you try to get it in New York. Even in Vegas, it's tough to get in there. I mean, I have a standing 5 o'clock reservation there on Fridays after I tape my show on Thursdays when I stay the weekend. So I go there a lot, but it's hard to get in. You got to, and Super Bowl weekend, forget about it. It'd be really tough to get one now. I got this reservation a long time ago. So that's option one. Option two is possibly the greatest buffet on the planet. As a matter of fact, it is the best buffet. I've eaten buffets. I used to weigh 400 pounds. I'm a buffet expert. It's the best buffet on the planet, the Bacchanal buffet at Caesar's Palace.
Yeah.
Have you eaten Bacchanal before?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So I don't need to go into a lot of detail.
Not for me, no.
But I will tell you, it is world class. And they have upgraded. I don't know when you went, but they have upgraded. It's about $85 a person, maybe more. It comes with lobster now. So you get the stone crab, you get all this. It's everything. It's everything. It's suckling pig, and it's Asian, and it's Italian, and it's all the stuff, including every type of seafood, including some of the seafood that you didn't even know you wanted. It's got these snail things that are like the size bigger than a golf ball that I only had when I was in Portugal. It's the only reason I know about them. I don't even know what they're called. But all of that stuff, including lobster, all included in a dessert area that knock your socks off. So those are the options. So what are your thoughts on Bacchanal buffet versus world-class Italian?
I mean, I've been to Bacchanal. For my money, the brunch buffet better than the dinner buffet. But that was probably 4 years ago since I've been there. Just looking at the menu at Carbone, I started drooling, and then I think my drool started drooling. So I mean, that would get my vote.
Gosh, you're making it tough. I'm going to ask everybody going, and if we don't, I will see if I can work another. The problem with Carbone is they're not open all the time. You got to go in the evening. So let me see what I can work out. You know, the Travers want to go to Capitol Grill, which is, we just always end up there for whatever reason. But the Bacchanal is better than that. But we're going to work it out. I just wanted to get a vote. So, all right, how much time we have?
Like less than a minute.
All right. So, any final thoughts?
I'm very excited to I'm taking all the kicker props over this weekend. Over made field goals, they're points over. I think these are tight ball games, and kicking points are going to be valuable. So I with some cautious coaching by Shanahan, I think gold definitely gets over.
We didn't even talk about the fact that every game just about went over during wild card round. Every game went under during the second. I mean, literally, we spent our time on disappearing ink and Bacchanal buffets. I mean, that's about right.
That's pretty on brand for this show.
It really is. So if you want more gambling, watch the TV show. All right, go beattheoddstv.com, watch the TV show, and listen to my radio hits, and we'll talk more about the totals as they relate to this week. So, guys, have a great week. Wager responsibly. Don't drink and drive. Have a great championship week. Get signed up at FatJackSports.com. For Brandon the Fat Jack, this has been the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Hey, this is the Fat Jack. What a great weekend it was. Another great, profitable week for myself and my clients. 4-1 in basketball, but that was just the beginning. We're now 8-1 the last 2 weekends in football, 16-2 the last 3 weekends, and 21-3 the last 3 weekends in football alone. Everybody's making money. Go to FatJackSports.com, and for as little as $99, get winning plays text to your cell phone or email to you, and make money betting the games this weekend at FatJackSports.com.